Who are you the biggest fan of?
Well, technically speaking, obviously there's a lot of inspirations. I mean, Steve Jobs made the iPhone happen, so that's obviously a good idea.
Who is your biggest fan?
Oh, that one is hard to say. I don't know, to be honest. I mean, hopefully the people I work with, but you have to ask them probably.
What should all founders immediately forget?
The success in the past.
In 3 words, what is it like to found a unicorn?
It's exciting. It's a good testament of success. But I think a unicorn also creates new bars, and you also have to think about what comes afterwards. My name is Matthias Niessner. I am a co-founder and CEO of SpAItial AI. We are a brand new hot startup doing 3D foundation models. I'm also a professor here at TUM, supporting the local ecosystem. I've been working on generative AI for the last 10 years, and I've been one of the leading researchers. Before I was at Stanford, I also co-founded Synthesia, another unicorn startup, and we're very excited to bring the next generation of AI to the masses. At Spatial AI, we are building spatial foundation models that can create virtual worlds that look like the real world and behaves like the real world. So in other ways, everything we experience in our daily lives, we want to be able to virtually replicate. And this is a very broad set of applications. Simple things are create a video game. So a 10-year-old can just type in some text and get their own video game out. Or somebody can make their own movie assets. There are 3D environments you need in order to make cutting-edge Hollywood movies at home. But there's also other applications. You can take a picture of your apartment and get a virtual digital copy of it. You can then redesign it. Architects can use that. Mechanical engineering people can use it to create the models and assets they need in order to do manufacturing. And our goal is to serve all of these applications, actually. So the idea of a foundation model that it's very generic. This is the beauty of the new generative AI, that you can apply to a very, very broad set of downstream applications. So we are still pretty brand new. We have just basically been in building phase for a few months right now. And the one thing I'm incredibly proud of is we have a very, very strong team. We have the top researchers and the top leads from Google and Meta, respectively, who have been working on generative AI in 3D. And this makes us a very, very strong team. We also had a bunch of incredibly talented employees joining. And yeah, this is something we are very proud of. And I think we are in full steam right now building the best model. Startup-wise, we haven't, in a sense, achieved that much yet because we're still in the building phase. So everything we have done in the past, also previous successes, I think that's not really relevant right now. I think our goal is really for the next few months, for the next year, to bring everything to the next level. Our next big milestone is finalizing our internal model development and then making this one available. So we're already talking and working with partners in a sense, figuring out exactly what design needs, what API needs, and so on they will need. For 3D data, that's particularly interesting. But I think the next big milestone basically there is like making this one public, making it available, and this is what we're working towards for. The support and the environment in Munich is obviously also amazing, in particular the university. So TUM has obviously a lot of talent. There's amazing students. There's a lot of people that we could potentially hire in order to grow our startup. But also from me personally, I had received a lot of support from TUM. For instance, the president actually personally, he pushed me almost a little bit, do another startup and suggested it. And they have a great way to do this for professors. So I'm on entrepreneurial leave right now, which allows me to do the startup while still keeping my professorship here. And compared to many other universities, this is fairly unique, and I think I have never seen this before. And this support at this level is something that we should be really, really thankful. So generally speaking, we are very excited to be here in Munich. Munich is a fantastic ecosystem, and we were looking for places that fit our needs. So first of all, we wanted to be still be connected with the university to a certain level, so we wanted to be on campus. So this made Gate a very obvious choice. And we also had different other options on campus, but I think it was amazing to see the vibrant startup culture in Gate already. And this was, for us, a deciding factor to come here and join the other amazing founders in order to build the next generation of startups. And I think Gate is kind of a very unique place in a sense to be. Like for startups, you have everything there, and you also have the brightest minds all together in one place. At the moment, with all the progress that has been made in AI, deep learning, it's actually probably the best time to build a company, because the difference or the delta between research and inception of an idea and actually making it a reality in a product has been historically at a small gap. So you can very quickly take tech, make it a product, right? And so the big question is always, when is the right time to do a startup? So in other words, when is the technology kind of ready, but you're still early enough, you can be one of the first doing that. And in 2017, when we founded Synthesia, it was video generation and avatar generation was at its infancy. So we just saw the research was pretty promising, but it was not yet ready to do this at scale. And this is kind of a great opportunity for a startup to do it. And then we founded Synthesia, and the first few years, we actually had to bridge this gap, basically, from a research prototype to actually making it a software as a service, scaling it up, making it a web platform, and people could use it at scale. And Synthesia has been grown. Synthesia is now almost 500 people. And to me, this was at the stage where I was like, okay, this is good enough for me. I'm moving to an advisory role, and now it might be time to think about something new. And at the same time, we saw a lot of progress on generative AI in various other domains, specifically in the 3D domain. We saw a lot of progress. And this is where I thought, this is not yet attempted by other companies. So we saw text generation with ChatGPT, we saw image generation with like Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, and so on. And video generation is pretty good, but 3D domain has been still neglected. And we saw academically a lot of progress there, and so this was a very good timing, just tech-wise, now we could be ready. And for me personally, the success of Synthesia at the same time that it's more from a startup to a scale-up to an actual real company made it also possible that it could move to an advisory role, and this created a new opportunity to actually found SpAItial. And we believe this is a perfect timing. This is like where text generation, like ChatGPT was like 5 years ago. This is where the 3D domain is right now. And we can see that this could scale also to very, very large markets. I think the biggest challenge for startups right now is make this transition from R&D to creating a real business out of it. I think this is the hardest part. I mean, of course, it sounds straightforward, right? You want to make revenue, you want to make money eventually. But finding the right product market fit, especially for AI companies, is very tricky. There's a lot of people who can build very, very cool stuff. Obviously, I'm very biased because I see it at TUM all the time, right? At Munich, at the universities, we see amazing researchers. But figuring out what this research or what the respective AI models are good for at the end of the day, this I think is the hardest part. And we had this in the past with Synthesia. It was not so straightforward to figure out, oh, why do we need like video generation and so on? Like, what is the right market for it? And the same thing I feel for current AI companies in general, they always have the same problem. Like, how can you make that transition from developing kind of this prototype to having millions and tens of millions of people using it? Because that's the promise. That's why we can use and leverage that many resources and capital also. We have to justify that somehow. And the only way to do this is eventually to find the right product market fit. And I think that's the hardest part at the moment. So my advice to other founders is find a secret sauce where you're really good at, like where you're much better than everybody else, and then build your company around it. To me, this has always been the technology, right? Because I have been a researcher. We have had a lot of good academic papers and publications that were unique from other people. So the roadmap, I think, is a very good one. Is always, do a PhD, do something that is very in-depth tech, and then take this in-depth tech and make a product around it. I'm not saying there's definitely other ways to do it, right? You can also get the tech externally as a founder, but my experience has been in our field, in AI specifically, this is a lot harder to do. Like, if you're not the expert or you don't have an expert in your founding team, I think it's going to be pretty tricky. So yeah, my advice is always be pretty good at something first, and once you know where you're good at, then I think you're ready to do it.